Ukraine's president claims Russia is planning to deploy 30,000 North Korean troops to the conflict, a dramatic escalation that could reshape the war. Good morning, and welcome to the Morning Brief. Today is Sunday, 26th July 2026. I'm Neil, and in the next few minutes I'll take you through the news that matters at home in Ireland, then across to Britain, and out into the wider world. Everything you need to know before the day begins. Ireland. Let's begin here at home, in Ireland. A man in his 60s, a former FAI coach, has been arrested in Dublin on suspicion of historical sexual abuse of women players. The arrest follows an ongoing investigation into abuse allegations within Irish football, and it represents another significant moment in efforts to address safeguarding failures within the sport. This affects Irish sports governance and accountability at a national institution where public trust in safeguarding processes remains fragile. More than 1,100 staff members at a factory in New Ross will face a 2-week unpaid shutdown imposed by management. The closure is already driving increased union recruitment efforts among affected workers in the South East, as families brace for a loss of income during the summer months. Here at home, that means real pressure on cost of living for workers and their families. Factory shutdowns like this hit household budgets immediately, and they're fueling growing tensions between employers and unions across the country. A junior minister has warned that Ireland's response to the climate crisis must change, citing recent devastating wildfires in Killarney and Wicklow Mountains national parks as evidence of a critical turning point. The National Parks and Wildlife Service has been in continuous response mode, and authorities are now sounding the alarm that these fires signal an inflection point for Ireland's climate resilience. Wildfires pose direct threats to Irish homes, infrastructure, and the natural areas we depend on. And the warning from government is clear. Current climate preparedness isn't enough. And finally, in Ireland, a Dublin man has been charged at a late-night sitting of the Special Criminal Court, following the discovery of an explosive device near the border in County Monaghan. A second man was also charged in connection with the case, and the discovery has underlined the ongoing security challenges facing the island. Explosives discoveries and criminal charges involving security threats require constant vigilance from gardaí and government, and they remind us that border security remains a live issue for public safety here at home. UK. Now, across the Irish Sea to the UK. New UK Prime Minister Andy Burnham has told the BBC he will honour his manifesto and will not call an early general election. His policy proposals are dominating UK newspaper coverage and signal the government's direction on key issues, including Northern Ireland, trade, and ongoing Brexit disputes. The UK government's stability and policy direction directly affect cross-border trade, Northern Ireland relations, and the bilateral negotiations with Dublin on Brexit implementation, and the disputes that remain unresolved between London and Dublin. A government-backed investigation reveals that 1/3 of UK journalists have changed their reporting due to safety concerns, with self-censorship particularly evident on coverage of right-wing protests and the Trump administration. The study warns of a narrowing of the public conversation at a critical time. Quality journalism on UK political developments is essential for Irish understanding of issues affecting Irish interests, particularly on Northern Ireland, Brexit, and cross-border policy, So when journalists are self-censoring, the conversation that shapes UK governance becomes harder to follow from this side of the Irish Sea. Scotland Yard is investigating two £250,000 donations made by Britain Means Business, a company owned by Reform UK Deputy Leader Richard Tice, to the party before the 2024 general election. The inquiry examines potential breaches of electoral law and reflects broader questions about funding transparency in UK politics. Reform UK's political influence on UK government policy toward Northern Ireland, the border, and Brexit requires scrutiny, and any questions about the party's funding integrity affect the credibility of UK political institutions that interact with Irish governance. World. And finally, out into the wider world. Ukraine's president claims Russia is planning to deploy 30,000 North Korean troops to the war effort, marking a significant escalation in international involvement. This would represent a major shift in the conflict's scope and geopolitical dimensions, and it underscores how the war is drawing in actors from across the globe.
For Ireland, this matters because the Ukraine conflict directly affects EU security policy and European stability, all central to Ireland's foreign policy interests and responsibilities as an EU member navigating a continent in flux. Iran's Revolutionary Guards have threatened Britain with military action should it support the US in any conflict. The threat reflects escalating regional tensions and a broadening of geopolitical divides that pull traditional allies into new alignments. The UK is our nearest neighbour and closest trading partner, so threats to UK security create instability that ripples across Irish-British relations and the wider European security environment we all inhabit. Over 300,000 people have been evacuated from France and Spain as massive wildfires spread across the region, with authorities warning the blazes remain far from under control. The crisis demonstrates the intensifying climate emergency unfolding in Europe and tests European crisis response systems in real time. The knock-on effect for Irish households? France and Spain are key EU trading partners, and when European infrastructure is under strain from climate disasters, supply chains and energy markets feel it, Ireland included. A chickenpox outbreak in Gaza has produced thousands of cases within a fortnight, highlighting severe public health challenges in the territory. The rapid spread reflects deteriorating humanitarian conditions on the ground. Irish NGOs and aid organisations work in Gaza, and the humanitarian crisis engages Irish government policy and reflects on Ireland's international aid commitments and participation in UN efforts to address the deepening health emergency there. A lot moving this morning: security threats abroad, political shifts in Westminster, and urgent climate and humanitarian crises that remind us how connected we all are to what happens beyond our shores. And that's the morning brief for today. Whatever the day brings, take it steady. I'm Neil. I'll be back tomorrow morning. Until then, look after yourself. A lot moving this morning. Terror threats at home that have been disrupted, water pressures affecting daily life, and tariff wars and regional conflicts abroad that could ripple through the Irish economy in the weeks ahead. And that's the morning brief for today. Whatever the day brings, take it steady. I'm Neil. I'll be back tomorrow morning. Until then, look after yourself.